My name is Brendan Rice. Super excited to be joined by Jake and Chris today. We're going to give you guys brief introductions for everyone so you know where we're coming from and spend the majority of our day today really having a discussion for all of you about HYROX and HYROX affiliation and how we can really be thoughtful about how to implement this at gyms and do so in a successful way. And we are going to start with just quick, sorry, I'm still reading these things come through. Quick introduction. So we're talking about how to capitalize on the HYROX affiliate hype, some housekeeping. If you have questions, there should be a Q&A tab at the bottom. You've got the chat tab as well, but if it is a question you want us to answer at the end of the webinar, please use the Q&A tab. A little bit easier to manage than scrolling through chats. And let's jump into it. Jake, you want to start by giving us an intro?
Yeah, what's going on, everybody? Man, well, it's so awesome to see the excitement for this. I'm really excited to share kind of our story and our success with HYROX. I've been in the fitness world for about 20-ish years. I cut my teeth at the big box gyms, like a 24-hour fitness. Early on, I was an early adopter of, CrossFit in probably like 2008. I call myself the grandpa CrossFitter. And then, that fast forwarded into owning a CrossFit gym for about 10 years, and along the lines, just always kind of looking for the next thing. And I fell into HYROX, was an early adopter of that. Looking back, we were the 30-ish affiliate in the United States, which we're at about 4,000 or 5,000 now. So it's grown quite a bit in the last couple of years. And so then that turned into, me working for HYROX, and then kind of just, going all in. And then the position for HYROX is signing new gyms up and then helping them successfully implement HYROX into their facility. So the same part of me that loved to help clients back in the day, I love helping new entrepreneurs put this HYROX into their facility and helping them have it take off. There you go.
Awesome. Thanks, Jake. And Jake and I connected in person at a conference just about a month or two ago, but has been part of the Wodify community for a long time now. And when we were talking in person, that's kind of one of the reasons we launched this webinar. I just got super excited by the conversation we were having, kind of wanted to have it in public. And then we looped in a good friend, Chris Cooper, who is on as well.
Hey, guys. So I am the founder of Two Brain Business, former CEO, and now the spokesperson. And what I'm going to talk about is how to add HYROX to whatever model you have in your micro gym, and answer questions about, like, should you charge for it? What should you charge for it? How do you schedule it? But also how it can solve some of those problems that might already exist in your gym too. So stoked about this, guys. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. And like I said, I'll be helping facilitate the conversation. I'm the CEO of Wodify, and to touch on the bottom one there, got into HYROX from a personal standpoint, doing some races, and immediately saw some of the excitement that they were generating in the fitness space and why a lot of people have started to participate in HYROX races and how that could translate to the gym ecosystem. So let me start with this. I think everyone on this call probably knows what HYROX is, so I don't want to go over the basics, but what I do want to discuss, Jake, first is just there's this amazing growth that's been happening over the past few years. My personal favorite stat isn't even on this slide, but 15,000 HYROX affiliates. Last year, there were 650,000 athletes. There's going to be way more this year. The stat that sticks out in my mind is more people will participate in a HYROX race this year than all marathons combined. So instead of talking to us about the format of the race, it's 10 stations, here's what it is, can you just comment on why you think this explosive growth has happened? Like, what is the magic that HYROX has captured?
I think there's a couple of reasons, but number one, it's the movements are accessible to everybody, right? Like, everybody can do a lunge, everybody can do a burpee, everybody can do all the movements. I even have my 70-year-old dad that's going to be doing the next race with me.
Nice.
So I feel like it's accessible to everybody, and I feel like, yeah, Yeah. I feel like really that's the business reason. It's accessible, but then the other thing is it's given my community a chance to rally around something. So we used to train every day and come into the gym and do the workouts, but really now like they have a goal in mind. They're making t-shirts, they're doing travel. It's really like giving our community a purpose.
Yeah. I think and a lot of CrossFit gym owners are on this call. So this obviously isn't specific to CrossFit, but just to kind of like touch on that in the CrossFit community, it's proven with the Open. People love looking forward to and participating in a group competition. I think HYROX has capitalized on the same psychology and motivation people have for trying to participate in an event. So even though the barrier to entry with the movements is low, HYROX is tough. Like, it's not easy. So people need to train for it, like with any sport. And I think that's what kind of segues in this conversation about how gyms fit into the picture of HYROX doing all these events. So what have you seen from like a programming standpoint? Like what types of gyms and types of programming are the best fit for someone who's signed up for a HYROX race?
Man, it's a very loaded question, but I think that the a good barrier of entry. I mean, a great thing that HYROX has done for, let's call it us CrossFit gym owners, is they have partnered with F45s and the Orange Theories and really gotten the mass participation. And so then people go to these gyms for a little while, and then they kind of want the next thing and kind of the next level of training. And then so they're seeking out our functional training gyms and CrossFit gyms because I really believe that at the top level, that's how the athletes train, right? And so, having a structured strength and conditioning program as the base of what you do is really everything. And so they don't really know that at first when they first start, a lot of them, but once they want to get into it a little bit more, that's really the big appeal that we have is we do all have that strength and conditioning background, right? We all know the what back squats and power cleans and deadlifts, how that's all going to translate into athleticism.
Yeah, I think it stuck out to me the first HYROX race I did, how many people had CrossFit shirts on walking around. And I think the methodology of whether you're CrossFit or some sort of like coach-led business where you're helping people achieve their goals, HYROX happens to be a goal that a ton of people have right now. And so you can provide the programming and the support and the resources to achieve that goal. And CrossFit, I think, is set up to do that really well. One of the parallels in my mind or analogies is if someone walked into your gym and said, I want to do a marathon, you wouldn't be like, marathon, that's not even like why. You would be like, all right, let me take a consultative approach and help you get there. And if 50 of your members were doing marathons, you'd probably be excited, make it a community event, like you said, and put some effort into building it into your ecosystem. So let's talk about then considerations of affiliation, because a lot of gyms, actually, if I had to guess, every single person on this call, if they own a gym, you have clients who are going to do a HYROX race. That's just the level of like scale it's gotten. Unless, I mean, there's some geographic constraints, but forget it. Let's just assume everyone is actually doing a HYROX race. So talk to me about like just in general what the affiliation is, and then Chris, I'll segue to you to talk about like how gym owners should think about whether or not they should affiliate and the questions they should ask themselves.
Sure.
So the affiliation program is first, you can talk about it, Chris, or yeah, first and foremost, it gives you the license to call yourself a HYROX training club. And to me, that is the most valuable piece of the equation. On top of that, there's so many awesome things you get. We get access to our performance hub, which has a playbook. So when you become an affiliate, it's like how to launch it, how to communicate to your people. It also has, the last couple of years, we release 8 workouts a week. So it's got thousands of workouts in there. It's a great resource that you get. And on top of that, you get a foundation certification for all of your coaches. So think like questions, rules, regulations, standards, all that kind of stuff. On top of that, there is some other perks, but I mean those are the main drivers of the affiliation, and it's $130 a month. honestly, I don't, being in business for 12 plus years, I don't know anywhere else you could spend $130 with that kind of potential outcome. So that's the
Yeah.
affiliation in a nutshell.
From our data and Wodify customers, we've seen a spectrum of people who sign up maybe because the cost is so low and it's popular and not seeing as much success, and people who have seen tremendous success. So Chris, how, like, you've worked with thousands and thousands of gym owners who change their processes or add new things. So you're an expert at kind of like helping businesses evaluate the decisions they should make. How do you think gym owners should approach this decision of should I affiliate with HYROX?
Sorry, Brandon, my internet was cutting out. Was that to me?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. The
Yeah,
question was
man.
just how do you think gym
Yeah.
owners should approach whether or not they should affiliate?
Yeah, so this is actually pretty simple. So the first thing is like if there's anybody talking about your gym, about HYROX in your gym, everybody's talking about it. And so, it's really, really easy to say like, okay, well, if this is showing up in casual conversation, we should probably create an opportunity for people to prepare for it. The second thing is if you're doing regular goal reviews for your clients and you're saying like, what's your next goal? If people are already saying, I want to do a HYROX race, that's just such an easy sign. And we've been teaching that forever. Like if you've got 5 people this month saying, yeah, I want to get more pull-ups, you should be running a specialty pull-up group. Well, HYROX just makes that really simple for you because it's like, here's the actual playbook. And then third, if nobody is saying it, you can actually see the conversations and just say, hey, have you guys heard of this? Are you watching it on YouTube? And just see if there is some interest there too. If you're really intrigued yourself, but nobody in your gym is talking about it yet, which I think is probably like very rare, but what you could do is just have a fun little challenge on the weekend. And you can't call it HYROX for obvious reasons, but you can do a challenge where you run a kilometer, then do the ski erg and then run a kilometer and do the wall balls and everybody high fives. And then at the end you say, hey guys, who wants to do this regularly? And this is called HYROX. And it's this new kind of expression of our fitness, and we can train for it just the way that we train as a team for the 5K or the half marathon this weekend.
And what do you think? So I think what you just laid out is a kind of open-mindedness to meet your clients where they are. And if people are interested in this, if people are already training for it, you should embrace that and think about how it fits into your business model. One of the things I've heard from some CrossFit gym owners is this kind of feeling around almost a competitiveness with HYROX, or seeing HYROX as like an incomplete test of fitness. And so how do you think gym owners should consider like HYROX training still fitting in with their bigger vision for the gym, or with maybe in this case the CrossFit methodology?
Well, HYROX it's just an expression of your fitness. And I would think like CrossFit is actually the best way to train for HYROX. Obviously, there's other ways to train, but just as you said, like somebody coming into your gym, how can we help you? I want to get better at downhill skiing. I want to improve my golf. I want to do a 5K this summer. You've got a big opportunity here to solve that problem for them. And that's what we're actually here for. We're not there to press the CrossFit methodology or, sing the praises of even Pilates or whatever. We're here to solve problems for people. And if people want to do a HYROX or do better at a HYROX, that's our job. The beautiful thing is that HYROX is an end in itself. So I can do CrossFit for a decade, and I did, but I'm not going to go to the CrossFit games, and I'm not even going to try. HYROX, I can look at that as like a goal for myself. I can work backward from that goal. And in having that goal, I have a built-in retention system in my gym. I also have a built-in marketing system. And before I get into this, because I know we're going to dive deep in like how HYROX helps with marketing, like I have to mention, I don't get paid by HYROX. I don't work for HYROX. Like I have nothing to gain by actually promoting anything. This is just where the data guides us. And I'm really excited to see something in the fitness industry that can have this much of a positive effect on a gym if the gym owner is willing to put in the work.
Yeah, that's such an important note to share. Like, I guess I should have said at the beginning, Chris and I have zero like incentive to promote HYROX. So
Yeah.
obviously Jake's on the team. What we're seeing is something happening in our industry that just like we did in 2020, Chris and I got on podcasts and talked to people and shared resources. Like we want to help everyone, if it makes sense for your business, level up and take advantage of this. And we're trying to help unpack whether or not that is the right decision. Just to, because you mentioned data, I'll just share a little bit of what we've seen at Wodify related to HYROX. So we looked at a sample of about 350 or 400 HYROX affiliates in the Wodify customer base. And what we're seeing right now, we're going to do some further analysis. This is correlation between HYROX affiliates and some business KPIs. We're seeing those affiliates on average have 34 more clients than the average gym and about $5,000 or almost $6,000 more in monthly revenue, over 19,000 compared to 13,000. So I think there's some evidence there that HYROX can help you grow a successful business. There's also something in there that shows you successful gyms are open to that idea of like follow what your clients are looking for, add new programming, seamlessly integrated into your business. Jake, you're someone who went through this entire evolution and you're on the other side. What advice or questions would you say gym owners should ask themselves if they're on the fence right now?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think the number one reason why any affiliate owner is going to, or if anyone is going to affiliate, is to grow their business, right? And so, is it going to help you grow your business? And then how can you do that? How can you use affiliation to attract new people? And really, the thing is, how do you attract the new people, but also keep your people happy? And it's a bit of a tight wire rope act if you when you first start. What I would suggest for the CrossFit gym owner is to do something like to get started, pick your least busy classes. Pick your least busy classes and throw it in there. So for me, that looked like my Tuesday and Thursday at 6:30 p.m. And what would happen is those were my slowest classes throughout the week. I would have like 6 or 9 people would be a busy class. All of a sudden, I'm having 30 and 40 people show up to these classes. I was like, okay, writing's on the wall. We need to have classes Saturday morning. And then Saturday morning, the same thing. And then it was easy to organically add more classes, add more times, and then even purchase more equipment as we went through it.
Yeah.
The tight wire rope act for me was keeping my people that like to lift weights happy while also catering to this HYROX group that wanted to do more endurance training. I still believe that the base needs to be the strength and conditioning. So we do it something like this. It's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We have our traditional strength split where we do deadlift, power clean, back squat, and then like a 15, 20-minute CrossFit WOD like we always would. And then Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday are our more HYROX focused days. And so that'll look a little different. Tuesday is going to be like a partner day. Thursday is going to be a stations, go through the stations. Saturday is going to be that more partner day again. And then Sunday looks like a competition flow. So they can have access to what the competition feels like with the equipment in that order.
Yeah. Awesome.
So just making sure we kind of kept everyone happy there.
Yeah, and I want to spend a lot of time digging into those kind of like tactics of rolling it out. But just to go back to one other thing you mentioned that I think is really important for people to understand if they're considering it, which is that question of like, we know HYROX is popular from an event standpoint. How do they actually drive members to your gym? Is it just that people Google HYROX gyms? I think there's a gym finder on the HYROX website. There might be some, is it just word of mouth because people are training for it and talk to their friends? Like if you had to summarize 2 or 3 of the main ways becoming an affiliate drives you business, what would those be?
If you just became an affiliate and you never did anything else, you'll probably have people walk through your door, 1 or 3 or 5 a month that find you on.
So even there though, I'll interrupt you to say, if you do nothing else, because you mentioned this to me, like updating your website, your Google My Business profile, like those things are important to capitalize on being able to use the brand name. Don't just sell the tickets, like because you get early access tickets, and some gym owners are like, oh, I just did it for the tickets.
Yeah, right. No, there's so many more things that you do. Let's say okay, so the gym finder will bring in some people. If you host your classes and you tag your coaches, you tag the members, You post, HYROX on the, and you post it, you'll get people coming from that. I think the big differentiator is the coaches or the gyms that host events. So let's just say 6 weeks out or 3 months out, we have HYROX New York or whatever it is coming up. What we do at my gym is every single weekend we have a training camp for that event where I break down two of the movements of HYROX. And CrossFit gym owners, we already do all this stuff. Like we already do wall balls, we already row, we already teach people and we know how to do all this stuff. But breaking it down and having a little bit of a 15-minute seminar, and then we do a workout with those movements. Every single weekend, I'm having 3, 5, 7 new people come into the gym that are word of mouth coming because we're hosting those things. But if we weren't hosting those things, it would be a fraction of those people.
Yeah.
So just like that little bit of work on literally the stuff we already do, like brings in all the people.
Yeah, I think because of the scale of HYROX, that social kind of network is a huge piece of it for your gym. If you can get one or two HYROX athletes who are competing in a few months, odds are they know people or have friends are. And if they're like, my gym is doing this awesome training, that can really help. And then to Chris's point earlier, this built-in retention tool, like I love that idea because if once you get people in, and when I was talking to a customer who's a HYROX affiliate, my little like Wodify plug is make sure you're tracking this in your software. Like you should know who signed up for a race and what race they are. So right now in Denver, there's a HYROX race in November. Any gym owner in Denver should know, maybe they have 20 people going to the Denver HYROX. They should have a tag on those people's profiles so coaches know and can mention it. They could have group chats, maybe even meetups, and just lean into the fact that HYROX has created a community event for you. That is like a community event with a built-in training goal.
We even have a race team WhatsApp chat. And those people are nuts.
Yeah.
And I had to turn the notifications off because those people are so crazy in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit to if you've decided you are going to become an affiliate. That does not mean you're going to be successful. I want to share an example from a recent Facebook chat or a Facebook comment thread to just show the spectrum of what this could look like for you. So this first comment, let us know if you're on this call, by the way, some of these people might be here. So this first comment was from David and said, HYROX affiliation, we've had a great uptake. We have 16 classes on our schedule. We've retooled our schedule. Similar story to what you were saying, Jake, like it worked. They leaned into it. They created programs and classes and it's working well and they're converting. We've seen 14 HYROX people convert to our hybrid annual membership. Okay, so that's on one end of the spectrum. We have Brandon here who's kind of in the middle. It's like we added 3 new, we have 4 current members paying to utilize HYROX classes. Current ROI is roughly 17 to 18% and 4 leads. So far, so good. Time will tell. And then we have all the way at the other end of the spectrum. We've gained no one from it, but our members like the early access ticket. So my reaction to that is it has nothing to do with HYROX affiliation. It has to do with how you implemented it at your business. So Chris, just going back to you, can you talk to some of those strategies around rolling something like this out, how to think about scheduling, coach buy-in and education, and whatever other considerations you think gym owners should have?
Yeah, so we had a guide published on how to do this. And one of the best examples in that guide was Harry Singh. And he owns CrossFit NYC, probably the longest standing CrossFit gym in the world. And he runs 2 classes, Wednesdays, Sundays. Those are his HYROX days. And he just did it because people were asking about it. But what he's found is that he's like replaced a lot of dead time in his gym thanks to, the HYROX stuff. So if I were just affiliating today and I wanted to roll this out, the first people that I'm going to give the opportunity to join the HYROX program to are going to be my clients. Now, at my gym, like the basic class is as inexpensive as I can make it, which means that we when we have something new, it's an option for people. So if they want to attend the HYROX classes, here's the rate to do it. If people only want to come into Catalyst and do just the HYROX classes, like that's going to be something else. So I'm going to start with my client base, the most likely people to sign up, and promote it to them first, just by saying like, you guys have first crack at this. The next thing I'm going to do is go to like the next most likely person to join, which is my former clients and the people who are on my email list. Like they already know us, like us, and trust us. Usually when somebody leaves a gym, especially a CrossFit gym, it's because they're not quitting fitness. They're lacking novelty. They're going to go do somebody else's programming, or they're going to go try something else, or maybe they're going to go do triathlons or weightlifting competitions, right? That happens. So this is a way to attract them back with novelty. And so you go to your former clients and the people on your email list next and say, like, here's an opportunity to come in and do this. And then from there, you would go out through your regular marketing funnels. And we have four, there's the content funnel, there's the social media funnel, there's a paid ads funnel, which I would probably like leave for last. And then there's a referral funnel. So my first stop would be from there. Do you have a friend who does HYROX? Bring them into the gym with you this weekend, and let's try some kind of challenge. And then, from there, it's just like, the media makes itself. It's very, very easy to make exciting, simple social media content around HYROX. And then, 5-6 blog posts. You've got some SEO, and the AI bots can find you, figure out that you're running a HYROX, update your Google My Business profile. And like, that's about it. I've been in this space for 30 years, and there have been 100 different brands that say, oh, if you sign up with our brand, people will come to your door and like, you'll be part of our network and they'll find you. Mindbody used to say that. And 99 times that's garbage. And with HYROX, it's not. Like, if you have a HYROX affiliation, people will find you with a tiny little bit of minimal work.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think one of the reasons for sharing these stats at the beginning isn't to pile compliments on Jake and HYROX. It's to illustrate there's data behind the point you just made, which is like, none of those other brands had more people doing them than marathons. So I just want to ask you one follow-up, because Christine chatted it in. So Christine, you didn't use our Q&A functionality, but it's your lucky day because I'm going to pull that one out. Chris, can you just go back to that idea of like you're allowing your current clients to access it first, but the question was, are you charging current clients more? Or you can answer this generally, like how you would think gym owners should think about it. Charging your current clients more, adding it to their current membership. This gets into the idea of like, is it a separate membership? Is it part of your current offering? How should people think about pricing?
Well, what we did, we brought 80 HYROX affiliates into a room in Two Brain and said, how are you doing this successfully? And we looked at their data the way that we always do. And we say, okay, like, these are the people who are doing the best with this. And there's a few different approaches. So the first approach is, yes, we are as inexpensive as we can be for the group training classes that we provide. If you want something new or something more, that's available to you, and here's the price. But we're not just going to roll that in and make everybody pay for it if some people aren't going to use it. So the first option is hold these classes separately from your regular classes and have an add-on price for members, or a HYROX only price for non-members. And Harry Singh does that too, and it's in the guide that everybody's going to get after this call. So there's an option there. The second option is exactly what Jake did. You're basically like saying, what problem am I trying to solve? And then basing all of your programming around that. Also fantastic. And then there are people who say like, okay, this is a marketing and retention tool. I'm going to be running a HYROX class on Saturdays because that's dead for me, and Wednesday mornings because nobody is showing up. More people will use the membership that they already have. And I think any of those three approaches is totally valid. What's important though is that you're actually tracking the metrics before you say whether it's successful or not.
Yeah, awesome. And then you touched on social media and the marketing around it. I think HYROX gives such an easy opportunity to do that. We've got some examples here, and I think Jake, one of them is actually from your gym. Can you talk about how gym owners can capitalize on social media when they affiliate?
Yeah, I mean, back to what I say is the most powerful part of the affiliation is the ability to call yourself a HYROX training club, right? And everywhere from your social media to your emails to text messages, like any way you're communicating with your people, I co-brand as often and anywhere as possible with your logo X HYROX, right? You want people to know in the community that you are the place to go for HYROX training.
Yeah. And then these sims, or even if they're not the full like HYROX simulations, just the events you're talking about are a weekend class, making sure you're capturing that content and just sharing that out to so people can see those fun community workouts lend themselves really well to organic social. The Google business profile, can you talk a little bit about some best practices there to make sure that when people do Google HYROX, now there's a good chance, in most major cities, there will be more than one HYROX affiliate. So how can you show up and how can you stand out?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that people are looking for when they are looking on our Google is, do we have the sled? Do we have the wall ball target? Do we have the equipment needed for the event? That I feel like is the biggest thing that draws people in off of our Google profile, those pictures. And then it's really what we have going on in the four walls, community-wise, events-wise, that keeps people staying.
Um, One of the things, let me just stop sharing my screen for a second. One of the things I keep hearing from people who have already affiliated, and maybe they're at that stage that they added a weekend class or they added a few classes, there's kind of two conversations they need to have. One is with people who came in looking for a gym to train for HYROX. And the owner or coach has to have a conversation with them about how they are more than just a HYROX gym and how their entire offering can be the right solution for that person. The other conversation is maybe with an existing member who maybe they've loved the gym, they've been there for 8 years, and they actually don't want to do a HYROX race. And how can the gym owner make sure they don't lose that client? So, Chris, to start with you, what advice do you have for those two very different conversations?
Well, the way we approach every client is something that we call a prescriptive model. So what you're doing is every quarter, you're sitting down with a client and saying, like, here's your progress over the last quarter. What are you working on right now? And if you're not doing that, then you're never really inside your client's head. The thing is, like in most of our gyms, especially CrossFit gyms, we've trained people to chase novelty. They want something new. They want something different. I mean, our whole culture is about chasing novelty now. And so if you're not providing those opportunities for people, let's go do a 5K this weekend, or we're all training for this triathlon in July. We're going to train for a HYROX sim on this date or whatever. What that means is that people just can't see the next thing to train for, and they just lose a lot of that excitement. And gradually they just run out of novelty and they're gone. So doing like a prescriptive model where you're sitting down with people and saying, what's your next goal? If they're like, I don't know, I show up to the gym, I don't know, that's a sign that they're getting bored. And you should probably suggest, would you like to try a HYROX sim? This is a new thing or whatever it is. And then with the people who are like, I don't want to do this, that's fine. You're still having that conversation with them because you're doing a goal review with them every quarter. And you're saying, yeah, fantastic. Okay, this is not for you. Let's get focused on your goals and make sure that what you're actually doing lines up with the goal that you want to achieve too. So there's nobody that ever feels alienated, like, oh, we're being taken over by the HYROX people, but also there's nobody that has the opportunity to get bored and just kind of like run out of future at your gym.
Yeah, I think a super tactical way to think about this could be to just have a calendar of different events that you could coach athletes towards. And a HYROX race or sim could just be one of multiple events, including maybe the CrossFit Open, maybe the HYROX event in your city. That gym I was at yesterday, CrossFit Golden, shout out Lacey and Greg at CrossFit Golden. They're a HYROX affiliate, and they had this awesome community event calendar where there was like a trail race in the mountains. I'm sure they were on the CrossFit Open. There was the HYROX that's coming to Denver in November. And I think if you fit it in that way, people won't get too hung up on like, we're just a HYROX gym now. That's all we care about. But Jake,
Yeah.
I'm sure you've had both of those conversations hundreds of times. What advice would you have for owners?
Yeah, I think the majority of people that are coming to my gym, 70%, they're probably not doing a race anyway, right? And so if they don't want to race, that's fine. It's just the training methodology. So I don't think that we all only have to cater to the people that are racing. People really love the workouts. They love the workouts themselves. And it's silly because we could have done a HYROX workout 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and called it a CrossFit workout, and no one would have ever known the difference.
Yeah.
Right? But
That's so
but
true.
but that's not the way the public sees it. The public sees it as it's these two separate things. And so if that's what you want to call it, you want to call it HYROX, we can call it HYROX. But the reality is, guys, that the workouts are so similar to what we've always done. And it's just like what it's labeled. The something that's testament to that is we used to have a class and it was lowly attended. And then it was a strength and conditioning class, and I started calling it HYROX strength and conditioning. I changed nothing, and the attendance went up fivefold. It's like, what the heck?
No way. Well, I think there's I don't have the data behind this, but HYROX races seem to be a convergence of maybe more strength and conditioning folks who want to compete in something, and maybe more traditional runners who do marathons, half marathons, 5Ks, and want to like try something new. And that audience, that's why a gym like this would be so much fun for them, because even if you're not doing HYROX training, maybe they don't have that much experience lifting heavy weights with barbells, and you can get them in the door and then show them how they can expand their fitness and try more new things at your gym. And really what I think we're laying the groundwork for over the next 2 to 3 years, it's just my perspective, is HYROX catalyzing a lot of other mass participation types of competitions. And it's just going to be fun for gym owners to sit at the middle of that as a place where they can be a training ground for clients for whatever they want to do, as more of those events kind of pop up, and they're just more things for people to get excited about in life. But right now, HYROX is an obvious one to go after.
Also, you need CrossFit athlete, and they can go and do a HYROX race, right? We train
Yeah.
we train for that.
Let's just, before I have one more question, and then we'll jump on to the Q&A tab, because we're getting a lot of good questions in here. We mentioned CrossFit Sims a few times. That one people might not be as familiar with, Jake, if they're not already an affiliate. Can you talk to us about what a HYROX Sim is, and how you run them?
Yeah, of course. So the HYROX sim is exactly like it sounds. It's a race simulation. You know, if you don't have all of the equipment and you don't have everything needed, you can modify it and do a version that you can do at your gym that'll be just as successful. But essentially, you take the 8 movements of HYROX, you get a running lap or you run inside the gym, and you mock the race up. And so, you know, you could do this a few different ways. The first way that I suggest that a gym hosts is to make it a free, fun event and get as many people as you can get there. And you kind of got to learn how to throw an event. And then as you get better at it, you can start to charge more. We did an event about a month ago now. We had almost 200 competitors, and our gym made about $10,000 off of it. So we run an event like that probably like 3 or 4 times a year.
Wow. But yeah, to start, I think the idea of making it a free, community-driven type of event, and using it as a way to grow your client base. You have people bring their friends, you have a referral program, whatever you have, and just try to build the audience that way.
Yeah, I mean, 200 athletes at our last event, plus all their friends and family. You're looking like we had like 500 or 600 people throughout the day. And so, I mean, the marketing and the exposure is just, I mean, through the charts on something like that. Couple times a year. I mean, it's really, you get all the vendors involved, all of your local partners, and really like, you know, make a fun community experience for them. I really believe that the gyms that provide the most value win. And so whether that's with the affiliation, the events, however you provide that value to your members.
And can you speak to like where generally in the timeline of affiliation running a sim would be a good idea? Like, should people sign up to be an affiliate and run a sim the next weekend as like a launch event, or should they start with these classes and then run a sim a few months in? Where should it fall in that rollout?
No, I recommend that your first event is one of our smaller events. So we just came out with a new conditioning test. Whether you use that conditioning test or historically we used what was called your PFT. You guys might have heard of that before. And essentially it's like a 20 to 30 minute workout, and it exposes people to kind of the feel of HYROX, the community. And it's a great way to kind of gauge the interest in your community. You know, if we say, okay, in 6 weeks, or let's just say you become an affiliate, and then you message all of your people, hey guys, in 6 weeks, we're a new affiliate, and in 6 weeks, we're going to host this event. We're all going to get ready for it every single weekend, right? And that's kind of how you do it.
Yeah, the build up is probably just as important as the event. Get people
Yeah,
talking about it.
exactly.
And for those in-gym events, I'll give a quick shameless plug for Wodify. Like build them all as global scoreable components, so people can have a leaderboard and they can like and comment and appreciate everyone's performance.
We use Wi-Fi for our whole
But
event.
thanks, Jake. All right, so let's shift to the Q&A. We got some good questions here. Anyone on the call, feel free to start dropping questions in the Q&A tab. We got about 20 minutes, so we'll try to get through as many of them as possible. And I will just start at the bottom. So what is the price for regular classes per person or small group HYROX training sessions? This probably came up, Chris, during your section about pricing. Anything else you would add to just pricing considerations for this?
Yeah, so typically people do run a price per class option too. And the example I was giving was Harry Sang at CrossFit NYC. You know, he's got like a $45 per class rate or a $199 a month. And the reason is that he gets a lot of drop-ins in NYC. So that's why he has that option. But he wants anybody that's local to obviously like buy a membership. So to compare that, his CrossFit option is like $349 a month, which does include all that stuff, but his HYROX only is slightly less.
Great. Chris,
To say what we don't have a separate option. We just have one membership that includes everything. So just
can people and then people could just buy a drop-in though if they wanted to try like one class.
Correct.
Just have a standard drop-in rate.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good one. I think equipment is top of mind for a lot of gym owners thinking about this based on like how much they can invest, what they can kind of adapt to their equipment. So good specific one here from Christine. How do you do it with limited equipment like 4 sleds and 4 ski ergs? Do you stagger start, etc.?
Yeah, if we're talking about the sim, what we do is we schedule people on heats every 10 to 12 minutes. And so just like you would a HYROX race, when you sign up the week before the race, they reach out to you with heat times. And so that's what we do is we stagger everyone 10 to 12 minutes. As far as equipment goes, you know, we run classes of 35, 40 people comfortably, and we have 6 lanes of sled. So 4 sounds like you're probably in a great place. Also, for the first year we were an affiliate, we didn't even have turf. We pushed sleds on rubber flooring, and we just rode that wave until it made sense to buy more equipment.
Yeah. Chris, anything you would add to the equipment conversation?
No, I think that's great. You can obviously simulate some of the stuff with you know different types of things if you want to, as long as the stimulus is the same.
And then probably, you know, if you're thinking about not over investing early, just using your expertise to create programming that could have similar stimulus with different you know, options, making sure you're adjusting to what you have. Sean says, if you want to host a bigger simulation, are there any partnerships or anything out there to rent more ski ergs or anything like that?
Good question. Not that I know of.
I don't know. Sorry, Sean, we don't have a better answer for you.
What I have seen in the past is stuff like that is gyms will, you know, we all have other gym owner friends, and so we'll get together and I'll get 3 ski ergs from that guy and a ski erg from that guy. And I mean, other than that, I don't really have a great answer on that one.
I think we already answered that charging clients one. Recommend a lot of pricing questions. Recommendation on pricing. We're a CrossFit affiliate, going to start with 2 classes per week. I think we touched on that. What about new members who only want HYROX? Any advice on that?
When people come in and they only want HYROX, it's our job as coaches to teach them that the way you get better at pushing the sled is by squatting more, is by getting more explosive and doing power cleans, is by coming to the strength classes. I can't tell you time and time again, I've had, you know, I'll get these people, they'll come into 4 HYROX classes a week, and they'll do that for a month or 3, and I have to have that talk with them, like, guys, this is not how you get better. And once they make that shift, like, they're like, Coach, thank you so much. And so that's where a good coach and a good program comes in.
Yeah, I think Chris talked about that prescriptive model, like being able to educate. But most people who walk into a gym aren't going to be, they're going to think they know what they want, but it's your job to educate them on achieving their actual goal. And so if they come in and they say, I only want to do 2 HYROX classes a week, and you can talk to them, like you said, Jake, about how all the well-rounded fitness you could deliver will ultimately help them. And then the other thing I've seen is if you've already had athletes at your gym compete at HYROXs, make sure that that's part of the conversation, whether that's like posters or pictures on the wall or examples from your social media. You want to be able to put your money where your mouth is and say, well, here's a handful of our clients that went out and crushed HYROX races, and they did it with our programming and guidance along the way, just as that like social proof point that it is somewhere they belong. Let's see here. Shannon says, since there are so many options for pricing, what do we need to consider in order to pick the best option for us or our gym? What should we consider to guide us to the best option?
Good.
So yeah, good question. Chris's guide that he's referencing, we're going to share out with everyone. I think, Chris, if there's anything you want to add to this, but there's an element of it depends that is like kind of you gotta take these stories and this advice and these different ways of thinking about it and apply it to your business model. But yeah, Chris, I don't know if you have any other advice to give Shannon.
Sorry, but my internet's in and out.
It was another pricing question. Which option should they go with of the 2 options you laid out?
Hmm.
I think Chris might be having a little bit of an internet issue. We'll give him a second. Jake, can you hear me okay? Is it?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
just jump in and answer the pricing wise. I go back to what I said before is I feel like the person or the gym that provides the most value wins. The cost of HYROX affiliation is so cheap that you can easily just throw it into your memberships, and it's not going to make or break anybody.
Yeah. We lost Chris for a second. He's going to go think about that pricing question and come back. Rick, can you give us the stats or source for the HYROX versus marathons next year? Yeah, so fair question. HYROX is growing so fast that I'll give you the honest answer is I saw a press article that referenced this, and then I was like, hey, Jake, can I share this? And Jake was like, yeah, I think HYROX is going to be on track for that. So the data for marathons isn't perfect, but somewhere like 1.1 to 1.2 million people. And HYROX this year is obviously a projection. Like they have all these races planned, but the projection is a little bit over that based on how they've been growing so far. Oh, hey, Chris, we got you back.
Hey, sorry about that.
No worries.
Yeah.
We thought maybe you needed some alone time to think about the pricing question in more detail.
No, just Starlink issue.
So I shared that the guide you've been referencing, we're going to send out to folks after the call. But yeah, Shannon's question was like, you shared that there's multiple options for pricing. Which one should I go with? It's kind of one of those like at that point, it depends. It's a conversation that you would have to have a little bit more information on the gym to be able to confidently answer.
Yeah, exactly. Like whoever you're working with as a business mentor is probably going to help you make that decision based on your gym.
Let's see what we got here. Shauna says, does training with the official competition equipment over standard equipment improve your overall HYROX performance? Jake?
Well, the last event that we went to in Anaheim, we took almost 200 athletes, which was pretty awesome. And watching all of my athletes out there, it was as close as you're going to get to having a cheat code. Because a wall ball, a target is much different than throwing it at the wall. I'm good at wall balls. Throwing it at the wall, all of a sudden I got to step back 2 or 3 feet and throw it at a target. And if you haven't practiced that in game days the first time, it's gonna be a rude awakening. So yeah, it absolutely does help you.
Yeah, the closer to the equipment, especially probably at the more competitive level and the most competitive level.
Right.
But again,
Yeah.
doesn't have to be a barrier to start, but as you grow the program and as it increases your business and you can reinvest some of the revenue from the growth of that, that makes sense.
And that's how it is. When we started, I told you we pushed the sled on the rubber. I didn't have wall ball targets. I mean, we had
Yeah.
we had just we had rowers, we had wall balls, we had like the bare minimum setup. And in a short time, it made sense to invest and get some of the actual equipment.
Yep. Dolan has a programming question. I own a CrossFit gym. Do I run a separate HYROX specialty class? Our programming for our CrossFit classes feels pretty similar to what HYROX programming would be, so just figuring out how to structure it.
And I think that that goes back to what I said earlier is it's really we're not reinventing the wheel here. It's how you label it. And so if you have a conditioning class that mirrors kind of the methodology already, I think there's not much that needs to be changed. The big difference really is like, the average person is going to take an hour and a half to do a HYROX race, and every CrossFit class is 60 minutes. And so, especially as people are actually training for races, you're going to want to get them to taste what those longer duration workouts feel like. Most
Mm-hmm.
CrossFit people after 40 minutes, like that's it. We don't go any longer than that. And so like that, like programming wise, that might be like the biggest thing that you change. Maybe a little bit more running too, but really
Interesting.
there's not much of a difference.
Probably helps, or one of the reasons why the weekend classes are such a good time to try some of this stuff out. You can have longer class times, more flexible schedules. Um,
That's what we do on Sundays. Sundays is the competition flow, so it's going to mirror that a little bit.
Oh, love this question. Chris, I'm super curious to get your perspective on this. You talk to a lot of people who are probably thinking about opening gyms. Danielle says, thinking about opening a gym in 6 months, would you suggest opening just a HYROX focused gym or CrossFit gym and offering a few HYROX classes, etc., and have CrossFit be the main offer?
Yeah, I do love that because when you're just opening, your priority is cash flow. Like make it through the first year and then decide, what you're going to do from there. So the really cool thing about the HYROX brand is that you don't have to commit your entire brand identity around the HYROX brand identity. So when I opened up Catalyst, it was before we were a CrossFit affiliate. And then they wanted me to rename myself CrossFit Catalyst. And okay, that would have been fine. But then what happens 14 years down the track when I'm not an affiliate anymore? So what you can do, Daniel, is like you can open up Daniel's gym and then affiliate with HYROX for $130 a month, which has a very clear path to ROI. Use that to generate some revenue and then decide, is my next step to become a CrossFit affiliate, or what do I do next from there? And I understand like why you'd want to affiliate with CrossFit. I certainly do. I am going to say that the path to ROI is less straightforward with a CrossFit gym. You are investing in being a representative of their brand and their methodology. There's a lot that goes into that. HYROX is just a much faster win with a much clearer, shorter ROI. And so when you're starting out and things are at risk and you're looking at every dollar and like, what is the best investment that I can make? You want to look closely at like, what's going to give me the fastest and easiest ROI. I would start under my own brand and I would probably affiliate with HYROX.
Yeah, great advice. Justin, if you have 20 to 30 members from your gym doing a HYROX race, can they all be in the same heat time, meaning at the actual HYROX event, or is it random? Rhonda,
It's
maybe from the
random.
HYROX team, said it's random, or
Yeah,
it's based on expected finish time.
yeah, there you go. Not random.
Um, so no, but all the other things we talked about, making it a community event with group chats, t-shirts, meetups, people cheering each other on, is great. There's also something cool, just the format of a HYROX race, if you haven't done one before, where heats are starting kind of like constantly. So even if you don't start at the exact same time as someone, you might run past them and give them a high five. But you can make it a whole community event, do a like team or group dinner, some social events around it. All right, 3 more questions. Jared says, do you have any advice for CrossFit gyms looking to host a HYROX style event, like pricing, advertising tips? Jake, maybe you could talk a little bit more about the Sims and how you, I don't know if you started free and then started charging, or how you advertise them.
Yeah, we've never paid advertising. Everything's always been organic. And so we just, we'll post that we have a HYROX sim coming up and make sure we tag all the coaches and make sure everybody shares it and really even the first time we reached out to local other gyms and let them know and that it's the first event sold out within literally like 10 or 15 days and now moving forward we don't even have to any other advertising other than putting it on our socials and sending out an email.
So, similar one, you can just piggyback on right away, which is how much should you charge for those sim events? I think the answer is 0 to, I don't, you actually make some money from this. How much do you charge today?
Yeah, so today we charge our non-members $75 and then we charge our members $55.
Nice. And it's do you do anything around the event itself, like do you barbecue or like party afterwards, or what does the day look like?
Yeah, so I tried to get as many of the HYROX partners as possible. And so at this point we've thrown so many, we throw really cool events, and so it's easier to pull Red Bull over or like some other bigger sponsors. But we started with like the taco place that was down the street and the acai bowl place down the street and just literally like made a party out of it. Like make it a fun atmosphere. So when people get done with the workout, they're gonna stay and they're gonna hang out, they're gonna cheer. They don't need to go anywhere else for food. They're gonna hang out and like make a fun event out of it for the day.
Yeah, great. And then Alyssa will end on this one. As HYROX scales quickly, how are you planning on balancing rapid growth with maintaining a premium, consistent experience within the affiliate? Um, I guess the you there could be HYROX or a HYROX affiliate.
Yeah,
But
right. I think it's, really making the offering that we have on the HYROX 365 platform more robust, right? So education, workouts, that kind of stuff. Making sure that, there's a streamline, that everyone kind of has the same. We also have a level 2 certification that's going to be hitting the presses anytime soon.
yeah, I mean, the only thing I'd add too, and Chris, feel free to chime in with any closing thoughts from your end, but whether it's HYROX or CrossFit or any affiliation, that isn't going to be what makes or breaks your business at the end of the day. So you have to kind of control your own destiny too. And we've seen this with tons of other examples. Like whatever HYROX does in the future, if you're an affiliate, you can't control. So you need to think about how to fit it in with your business, how to make sure you're serving clients and helping them achieve their goals. And you hope that the partners you choose throughout the course of your business do well and continue to grow and are brands you want to represent. But I would just say like control what you can control, which is the experience clients have at your business and the brands that you choose to partner with.
Yeah, the beauty of any licensing model, CrossFit, HYROX, any, is that there is that lack of control. Because
Yeah.
when you start establishing quality control, you start establishing rigid guidelines and you add a ton of cost because you have to like oversee and test and secret shop and evaluate. And you wind up becoming part of this bureaucratic process. The freedom to just affiliate and run your best class, your best gym, I mean, that's what makes the ROI on HYROX so amazing. If HYROX was doing a quality control thing and it started to look more like a franchise, there's no way you'd have access to this amazing brand for $130 a month. I mean, you'd probably be looking at an investment of tens of thousands of dollars a year minimum.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, this whole conversation has been about applying HYROX to your business in a way that fits with your business. It hasn't been like, hey, you're now a HYROX gym owner. Here's how you price it. Here's the classes and the programming you run. Like
Yeah.
it's an awesome opportunity that they've created where people can keep what's special about their business and running their community the way you want, at the same time partnering and piggybacking on this brand that's doing all of this legwork out and the world to get mass participation in the fitness event. It's really fun. So it's awesome. Super excited for the future of HYROX to do some more races and especially to watch gym owners adopt this model and all the stuff we talked about. Really appreciate both you guys coming on to talk today. Jake, Chris, thank you so much. For
Thank
all
you.
of the attendees, you're going to get an email with some of the resources we've been talking about and a recording of this webinar. So you'll have access to all of that. And then anything else, Jake or Chris, in terms of just final comments you guys want to make?
No, I just want to say thanks, guys, for having me on here. I know this is like might get a little crazy, but if anyone has any kind of follow-up or they want any kind of guidance on this, please feel free to reach out and we'll get a call on the books and get something going.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Everyone have a great day.